Guys, have you ever thought about mining your own crypto? Unfortunately, the cost is high. You need to buy equipment. There's high electric bills, and it takes a long time to start making money. That's where our friends at Go Mining come in. They're a professional crypto mining company that have built data centers around the world with their own mining equipment. By purchasing their GMT token, you buy energy that mines Bitcoins for you. Apart from being an asset which you can sell on market, investors get a daily Bitcoin income from what the company mines, which is unique to Go Mining. The Go Mining team regularly buys new mining equipment, so you don't have to. They issue fresh tokens, burn part of them, and redistribute released computing power among all tokens in circulation. As a result, the supply capacity, which allows mining Bitcoins of 1 GMT, grows. To learn more, visit token.gomining.com and use the promo code Chael to double the amount of Bitcoins you can mine for the next 30 days, or click on the link in the description below to visit their website or Telegram channel for support. Henry Cejudo, what do you do there? If you're the one that has to make the decision, and Henry Cejudo, a fantastic, popular fighter, calls you and says he wants to fight, and you're in the business of making fights, what do you do there? It would seem obvious you give him a fight, right? Okay, I think that's exactly what Dana would say. I think Dana would say this is a no-brainer. Get a call from Henry Cejudo, I book fights, he wants to fight, let's get him a match. You'd start with a real simple question when you're dealing with Henry, which is, what weight class are we discussing? Guy's covered the spread and says he wants to continue to cover it a little bit more. What weight class are we discussing here? Now, it's not as simple as it may appear when Henry is specifically asking for Volkanovski, which means he's asking to return to a main event for the World Championship in a class he's never competed in before. Big ask. But that doesn't mean you reject it. What do you do? Now, there's many sins within the UFC. None bigger than the number one policy in the UFC is do say. You do what you say you're going to do. They will treat you the same, but if you go against that, you're breaking the code, not good. Aside from that, the biggest thing that you can do is to walk away from the belt. It's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. Just accept that. I can't fully explain to you why, but it is. And that's what Henry did. Now, that doesn't mean Henry became persona non grata. It doesn't mean you take away any of the great deeds that he did. It just means you give consideration before putting him in a position where he might do the same thing to you again. That's all it means. So you have to find a way to overcome that. And Henry, who's going to be one half of this negotiation, except he's the one that asked for it, right? That changes things. If you asked for it, you're now in the weaker position, and that's okay. You're going to be in one of the two. You're going to negotiate from the strong point or from the weak point, but either way, if you're at the table, you're at the table. You got to do the best that you can. Henry, if I'm the one talking to him, I'm going to have to ask, Henry, here's what you did to me once. If this is about champ business, and it's all selfish and it's all for you, I can't blame you. I get it. Competition gets to be very selfish, but I am playing chess. I got to set up a board here. I got to have number one contenders matches going in conjunction with world title matches. Are you going to do this again? No, I would never do it again. Okay, great. Then here's what we're going to do, Henry. I'm going to give you that fight right after you beat and fill in the blank. Meaning, I'm going to put you in a number one contenders match. I have to. The only way that I know that you're coming back for more than a one-off is if I make you go first, and I'll give you the match. But that's going to guarantee me I get what I want, which is 2. Now, I don't want you walking away from my belt in the first place. But opinions can change, including yours. You may tell me right here today that's not what you're going to do. You have the right as a human being to change your mind. I'm not going to hold it against you. But I need you to do this first. I need to know that you're serious. I need to know that you're training. I need to know this is not a cash grab. Most times, more times than not, when somebody leaves the sport and returns, it's for one reason, which is the money. I need to know this is about competition. I need to know you're serious. I need to know this isn't a shtick. I need to know that you can still do it. I need to assess you. I need to see you. And here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to put you in a big, beautiful match, but you're going to have to do a match nonetheless. Now, that may not be how that conversation goes at all. But if it doesn't go that way, then I would predict for you it just doesn't happen. And I think that that's the spot that Henry's in right now. I do not think this who gets to fight Volkanovski next. Are we going to wait for the winner of Holloway versus Rodriguez? Are we going to go with Henry, or are we going to put Gig in? I don't think we have those three options anymore. I believe right now, not only will Henry not get the fight, I don't believe Henry will get a phone call to discuss the fight. So Henry's going to need to see, why am I not getting a phone call? What have I done wrong? I'm a very good fighter. I got people that want to see me. It's an interesting match. I'm bringing a good story. Why can I not get off the ground? I would only submit for you that that is why. Look, you're going to have to find a way to solve that problem. It's not the world's biggest deal. Henry's not in a bad spot. It's just the spot that he's in. The spot that he's in is, look, this is not a one-off. I want Volkanovski, but then I'll spread that right back to whoever you deem the number one contender. The way the landscape looks right now, it's going to be the winner of Max Sharir. I won't complain. Bring them on one after the next. It's one of those things. But to take you at your word when you're saying this versus the actions of Giga. It's one thing to hear what a guy says. It's another thing to stand back and see what he does. Giga is who you want. There's not a lot of guys like Giga. You got Giga. You got Dan Hooker. Help me out here, guy. Well, Marvin Vettori would fall into that same category. Wants to stay busy, wants to stay active. Kelvin Gastelum's always been that guy. I'm running out of fingers here, guys, but I'm also running out of names. Who else wants to be real active? Who else wants to stay real busy? Who else is hungry? Who else wants the turnaround? Doesn't want to sit and think. Tell me what makes sense. Let me talk. Let me sit down and talk with my team. Do you want to compete or not? You're only going to be offered this 3 times a year, you lazy prick. My father, God rest his soul, if he ever found out I went into a business where I only worked 3 days a year, he'd roll over in his grave. He'd be disgusted. And some of you are finding reasons not to do it when it's only 3 days a year? Goodness sakes, I can't relate. I cannot relate. I do not get it. I come from an actual competitive background. In wrestling, I never agreed to take on anybody in my life. I showed up every Saturday blindly, not knowing who else was going to show up and stepping on the mat with them when my name got called. I could not imagine taking the lessons that I learned from that amateur background, coming over to the pros, overthinking my career, and remaining unemployed, and then being proud about it. Like I outsmarted somebody. If you say no to a fight, you've outsmarted nobody. You've made yourself unemployed. Now, I'm going in a completely different direction if I can refocus to Henry Cejudo, because I don't want this one to get away. I think Henry matters. I think Henry still matters. I thought Henry was bluffing and being silly the night that he retired. It turns out he was not. He meant it. The company took him at his word and they moved on. But I continue to hear so-and-so training with Henry. Henry training with so-and-so. And I can all the way, Mike Tyson and Henry were getting workouts in. And I just wondered, what does that mean? What does that look like to train with Henry Cejudo? Why is Henry Cejudo training? And for what? For what? So I'm merely asking a question. Why is Henry training? Why is Henry staying busy? It would appear because he wants to fight again, which makes you wonder why he ever left in the first place. And don't forget the way Henry's contract worked. It was beautiful. Championship matches are beautiful. Now you're in on the participation of the whole night. The whole entire, you get to be a partner without buying in. The only business in the world that somebody will give you a piece of without you buying in is if you are the champion in the UFC. It's an amazing thing. He walked away from it. Okay, all that tells us is he was serious. But now we are getting mixed messages. Why is Henry training? What is he training for? Maybe we have our answer. To come back, go at 145 pounds, and pursue his third MMA championship. It'd be his 4th championship overall. If that is what he wants to do, how does he now get it? And it's not that easy. Henry Cejudo is a lot of wonderful things. He is not George St. Pierre. And Georges St-Pierre, after he crossed the same line of walking away from the belt, had a more difficult time getting back in and getting what he wanted to do. It's a real thing. Whether you like it or understand it or not, it's important that you recognize it if you're coming up with your strategy of how you're going to approach this. And it's a piece that Henry needs to be aware of so we can deal with it. And there are many ways to solve this problem. There really are. I'm not confident in telling you guys that we're going to see Henry and Volkanovski for Henry's return fight. I'm not confident in telling you it now. I wouldn't be confident 5 months from now or even a year from now. I am very confident in telling you if Henry called the organization, if he stayed within the USADA pool, which I believe that he did. If not, he could re-enter, work out those logistics, that he definitely could get a fight at 145 pounds. To be guaranteed a number one contenders fight is a very rare thing. Generally, you will just look at the board, put yourself in a position, and then you're still going to have to navigate. You're still going to have to get the mandate of the masses, but now you're going to have a platform to do it. You're going to have the media to do it, to take your shot. Other guys are doing the same thing. It gets competitive. You see what sticks. Generally, that's the best you can get. These are words of Vince McMahon, but they're actions of Dana White, which is the only thing I'm ever going to give you is an opportunity. What you do with it is up to you. So I only suggest for you that Henry can come back. Henry can come back into a beautiful spot. Henry, to even get a dialogue about coming back, if he's starting at the top, which is Volkanovski, is going to make everybody's feathers go up and say, okay, he wants to grab the strap and walk away. I don't do that. It's a long-term play. I'm the promoter. I'm going to put $10 million behind a fight. But I don't have to get all 10 back tonight. I have 3 fights with that same athlete. If I can shine him up pretty enough, I can spread my ROI over 3 events. It's one of these things. I mean, these are the calculations. These are the politics that go into making these decisions. I don't think Henry's aware of that. I think Henry's doing what Henry should do. Training. If he wants to fight, raise your hand and say, I want to fight. Calling out the top dog, laying out his case. All very good things to get a fight. Maybe not that fight today. And I think as the days are going by and we can eliminate Henry from the board for Volkanovski in the short term, it does rise up the one other guy that showed up for this job interview. The one other guy that said, put me in. The one other guy that's available. The one other guy whose actions have spoke equally as loud or louder than his words. Giga.